But what we see here in verse 23 is that the faith of Moses' parents is not fearful. It sees a purpose in what God is doing. And no tyrant's decree, no royal edict, no cruel oppression will stand in its way. Faith then measures the consequences and the threat, and yet sees what the will of God is and pursues that will no matter what. Moses was hidden not because his parents feared Pharaoh, but because they feared God. And it's a very important distinction. Very important. I think much of the way in which parents actually parent at times and the decisions they may make in their home and in their households is because of a fear of the world. And so decisions made that are intended to protect, and of course we're all for protecting children. There is a time we have to assess that where Moses can't protect himself, someone needs to protect him. His parents must protect him. And we as parents have a duty to engage in a protecting role. Now, we can't protect them forever. We must prepare them in that protection season in which we're trying to build them up and encourage them and instruct them and teach them and by a model and example before them and give them God's word so that they can eventually stand on their own 2 feet, make decisions that honor God and so on. And so as parents, we see this early part of their childhood. We must protect them. We must do what we can. But I want you to see, because this really struck me, the thought of this. The difference between being motivated in those decisions by a fear of the world and by a fear of God. The unbeliever can fear the world. There are people who have no heart for Christ at all. Who, for example, just for one example among others I could name, homeschool their children. They homeschool their children because they fear the world out there. And they're trying to protect them. But they're motivated by a fear of the world. They're not by a fear of God. And the same thinking can come into the heart of those who are meant to fear God first and foremost. Now, I could dwell on this, but I'll not get through my sermon if I do so. But I want you just to take that thought, especially if you're a parent. But for everyone, how do I make my decision? Is it out of fear of the world or fearing of God? They're not the same thing.